Hey y'all, Jim Pankey here. Wanted to talk to you today about something that maybe you really hadn't thought a lot about, and it's a thing called dynamics. Dynamics, what is that? Well, dynamics is a way that you play that could be louder or softer or perhaps even with a different tone. And we have ways that we can do that, obviously. Just like in that example that I just played, a little snippet of Country Roads, where you hear me play softer, and then I get louder, and then I get softer, and then the tone changes, different things change. And some people might call that playing with feeling, and maybe we could call it that, but really I think of it more in terms of dynamics. And so what I want you to think about, and I'm going to give you some just simple things to ponder and consider, and then try to add those things to your playing at whatever level that you're at. Because if you're even a beginner player that's learned several songs, and you've been through my 10 lesson series, then you know a good bit of stuff. And in a lot of ways, if you really assimilated what I taught you in those lessons in that first series, you know just about what I know. But if you're playing everything like at a certain level, and it's not going down and up and down and up in volume and tonal changes, then that's one of those things that sets you apart from a lot of the players that you might even admire. You can learn to do this. Now, I'm not going to tell you where in Cripple Creek that you need to play softer or where you need to play louder. That's totally up to you. You get to decide where you want to be louder, where you want to be softer, where you want to change your tone. So the first thing I want to show you is how to change your tone. You may have read or heard somebody talk about the X position and the Y position. And we're not talking about chords, obviously, but it's a right hand position. So let me show you two positions considered X and Y, and then let's talk about this. So your X position, if you'll look at my banjo head, you'll see this dark spot. That's where my hand rests. When I'm taking a lead break, or this is kind of where I start. And this would be my X position. I am near the bridge of the banjo. That's X. Y position would be up here near the neck. Do you hear the difference in sound? Listen. X position. Y position. There's a difference in sound. And if you look at my banjo head, you can see there's marks that go from here all the way up. And you say, but Jim, obviously it looks like you play in your X position probably more than you do in your Y position. And maybe I do, but the other thing that I know that I do is as I move closer, I have a lighter touch here, so I'm not bearing down on the banjo head quite as hard as I do back here. And I'm not bearing down really hard. I don't have a lot of pressure, but I do know that I touch more lightly as I come up here to the Y position. When should you use the Y position? Well, one of the general rules or rules of thumb or general thought is as your left hand travels up the fingerboard, so this being up, this direction is up, this way. This hand follows it. So this direction and this way. So our hands work like this. That's the normal thing. So if I'm playing below the 5th fret, travel up the neck. See how I move my hand? So that's my X and Y. So you can get different tones. Like in the example that I played at the beginning, Country Roads, I didn't really travel above the 5th fret. I just stayed right here. But I did play around with my right hand position. So you get different sounds. Simply by moving my right hand, I get different sounds. And that's using the X and Y position to create a sense of dynamics. Now, another thing you can do is you can adjust your volume. You can play either very softly, quietly, or you can play hard and play really loudly. And you need to practice doing both. Play as soft as you can. And then play as loud as you can. Play soft, play loud. I mean, you can go from one end of the spectrum to the other. And you can do that with Cripple Creek. And sometimes it's easier if we start out just playing really loud. So we can play Cripple Creek. We'll go through it just one time loud. Playing really loudly, but we can do it really softly too. So quietly. How quiet can you go? I mean, I can go pretty quiet. And then you want to practice going from quiet to louder, to loud, to soft, loud, soft. And practice doing that, going back and forth, back and forth. And then decide ahead of time. In Cripple Creek, what part would sound really cool if I were to play it softly and then come back in really loud at some point? When would that sound neat? I'm not going to tell you. I'm just not. Because that's for you to decide and for you to practice. You can even change that loud and soft within a single roll. You got 8 notes. Part of those notes could be loud. Part of those notes could be quiet. And it's going to take practice, and you can do it. I got confidence in you. So this week, during your practice session, you're practicing rolls, you're practicing licks, you're working on some songs, practice your dynamics. Practice playing in your X and your Y positions, and also practice playing at very low volumes and very loud volumes, and then mixing all of that up. It'll add so much more to your playing. It's going to set you apart from everybody else. Those dynamics are the things that really will attract people to listen to your music. I promise you. If this content has been helpful to you, please hit a like button. Maybe even subscribe. And if you want notifications, ring that bell. Thanks. We'll see you next time.